Ruby Franke and her connections partner Jody Hillbrand were arrested Wednesday. Arresting documents detail that the arrest was made after a child climbed out of the window of an Ivins residence at around 10:50 a.m. Wednesday and ran to a neighbor's home for help. The home belonged to Jody Hillbrand, who is involved with a parent counseling service called Connections, and was also arrested in relation to the case. The child knocked on the door and asked for food and water, but the neighbor noticed duct tape on the child's ankles and wrists and called police, documents state. The calling party stated the juvenile appeared to be emaciated and malnourished, with open wounds and duct tape around the extremities. A statement from the local authorities reads, "Police described the wounds, neglect, and malnourishment of the child to be severe," arresting documents state, and the child was taken to the hospital for treatment. After the first child was taken to the hospital, another child was discovered in the home and was found to be malnourished as well, officers reported. Franke did not speak with police and instead requested a lawyer, arrest information reports. She was ordered to be held without bail in the Washington County Jail. The Department of Child and Family Services was contacted. The statement from Santa Clara Ivins Public Safety Department reads, "And in a joint effort with the Springville Police Department, 4 minor children were taken into the care of the Department of Children and Family Services." The full statement by the Santa Clara Ivins Public Safety Department was released Thursday morning, and in regards to the arrest, they detailed things a little bit more, saying on August 30th, 2023, around 10:50 hours, a report came into our dispatch center regarding a juvenile asking for help. The calling party stated the juvenile appeared to be emaciated and malnourished, with open wounds and duct tape around the extremities. The juvenile was asking for food and water. The conditions of the juvenile were so severe that they were seen by Santa Clara Ivins EMS and transported to a local area hospital. Information was obtained by police that other juveniles in similar condition may be in a nearby home. Officers arrived at the home and searched the residence, locating another juvenile in a similar physical condition of malnourishment. The juvenile was also transported by EMS to the hospital for treatment. A search warrant was obtained in connection with the incident. During the search of the home, evidence was located consistent with the markings found on the juvenile. The Department of Child and Family Services was contacted, and in a joint effort with the Springville Police Department, 4 minor children were taken into the care of the Department of Child and Family Services. Jody Hillbrand and Ruby Franke were arrested in connection with the incident. Due to the sensitive nature of this case, no additional information will be released at this time. There was also police scanner audio that was released publicly, detailing a little bit more from the scene.
12x11, 12x4, if you can back on a child abuse. Repeat said a 12-year-old male showed up with tape around his legs Thursday asking for help, said he was afraid asking for police. Deborah, he gave the name of Russell Franke, unknown date of birth, or he did give us a date of birth, but I'm not showing any Russells and Spillman. I'll keep looking into that. The RP said he left through the porch of the neighbor's house. 10-4, break 12x11 and 17, just 10-14. The male does have duct tape around each ankle. He's not telling the RP why, and said that there's sores around his wrists and ankles. He's becoming, or correction, the RP is becoming emotional regarding the child's health. I'm going to go ahead and have medical stage on this one. Said that he left from a neighbor's of Jody Hillbrand in Ivins, 54-year-old female. Not sure if they're related. When asking the RP's parents info, he said his mom is Ruby Franke, unknown where she lives. 12x11, 12x17. I do have a Ruby Franke spelling with an E on the end of Franke, address out of Springville. Only involvement was a traffic offense a couple days ago. He's also saying that there's 2 of his sisters are back at the home as well.
Copy that.
The wounds on his leg are pretty good. 12x511, 314, medical's gonna transport him. Said that his wounds are in need of immediate care.
Now, Fox 59 ended up reporting on the situation as well, saying that the wounds that the children had were from rope. And in the article, they said that police found a second child in Hillbrand's home, a 10-year-old girl who at first refused care but eventually agreed. She was treated at an area hospital where medical professionals determined she was also suffering from malnutrition, according to police. Police also determined that Hillbrand was in the direct care of the children. Hillbrand allegedly made statements to police that the children should never be allowed around any other kids. Once this information had been made public, Ruby's 3 sisters, who are all active on social media and have YouTube channels of their own, posted a joint statement to their Instagram account that read, For the last 3 years, we have kept quiet on the subject of our sister, Ruby Frankie, for the sake of her children. Behind the scenes, we have done everything we could to try and make sure the kids were safe. We wouldn't feel right about moving forward with our regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jody was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are now safe, which is the #1 priority. Over the years, Ruby's sisters have opened up here and there to say that they weren't in support of the Connections group that Ruby had so closely started to align herself with. Her sister Julie, in the comment section of one of her own vlogs, said Connections has torn families apart. It is not a good group to be affiliated with, and hopefully one day she will realize it. And also liked a comment where someone wrote, her Connections views and content is so wild and offensive. Maybe she did you guys a favor. They talk so much trash about their family in the workshops. How sad. Ruby's sister Bonnie had also come out to speak on the divide in the family and replied to someone who said, do your children miss the Frankie cousins, or do they understand what's going on? And she said, they miss them more than words could ever express. We all do. As Ruby invested more of herself into the Connections group, people could see that she was only getting more extreme in what she was saying in terms of parenting and expectations that she had for children. And now it seems like all of the videos that she put out are going to come back to bite her, because her daughter Sherry is now asking for people to help her by gathering together as much video evidence of her mom and Jody. She posted to her Instagram story saying, I need your help. If you have links to any questionable or concerning Connections or 8-passenger videos, please DM them to me. It's too much for me to sort through myself. More specifically, Connection stuff. We are aware of most of the 8-passengers things already. Here's a Google Doc link. Please try to make sure there's no duplicates. It's scary just how much Ruby and Jody have put out there online that was alarming, and so much of the 8-passengers logs that were alarming, because this Google Doc is full. You could scroll for a minute and see just how many links people have left leading to different incidents where they said troubling things. And it's just awful knowing there were people who looked up to Jody and Ruby for advice, people who went to them for help with their own kids and really believed that these two were giving good advice. I hope that they have all had this big wake-up call seeing that these two were arrested, because they never should have been giving people advice, and people certainly never should have been giving them their money and or listening to the advice that they had to give, because they are the last people who should be giving any sort of advice to anyone. It's absolutely sick what has come out about these two. Now, as for Ruby's husband, Kevin, I still haven't been able to find much information on his whereabouts. I'm sure more information on him will only continue to come out, because it is interesting how not much is being said about him, as he's literally the father of these children. And I know that a lot of people were rumoring that Kevin was arrested, but I have not seen that information. And in the statement that Ruby's sisters put out, they only mentioned that Jody and Ruby were arrested. So I'm gonna believe that he was not arrested in this situation. Now, Kevin hasn't spoken out himself, but through his attorney to Page 6, on Thursday, they wrote in an article about the situation that urgent focus is simply to keep his children together under his fatherly care. I know it was rumored that Ruby and him were no longer living together anymore, and he was off living with their oldest son, Chad. And if that's true, then I guess it makes sense why he was so removed from this situation, but there's just still so many questions that are left unanswered as of right now in regards to how much he knew about what was going on with the kids that Ruby did have. At one point, Kevin was really heavily involved in Connections, and him and Ruby made videos together talking about their parenting tactics and how they've punished their children. But after some time, he stepped back and wasn't seen on the Connections page, and he was also removed from the Connections Facebook group where they would often give advice to other moms. Sherry has spoken out about her parents and never really mentioned anything about her dad necessarily leaving the group, but on a podcast she did make mentions that things did occur within her family that did make it easier for her to leave this whole living in truth and everything that Connections was preaching.
I don't think it was like I woke up one day and decided today is the day.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff happened in our family that almost kind of like did it for me.
Oh, interesting.
Which was nice that like I didn't have to have, you know, the conversation of like I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Things just kind of happened that just like slowly kind of drifted, and So it wasn't as dramatic as I thought it was going to be, which is nice.
Some took this as maybe her talking about the rumors about her dad and Chad living somewhere else, but still, there's been no clear evidence on the status of his involvement with his other kids in the Connections group once he wasn't in the videos like he was. Maybe we will find out soon, but as of right now, that's the latest update on what has come out about this family. With every update, honestly, it just gets sadder and sadder. This whole situation is just crazy. It's good that the kids are now out of this situation and that they are safe. That is certainly the most important thing, but if any other further information comes out, I will let you guys know. But I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.